Is iFi Zen DAC the new standard for entry-level affordability? Stick around and find out. Hey guys, Stuart Charles here, HomeStudioBasics.com, helping you make sound decisions. So today we're going to get into the iFi DAC amp or amp DAC review. Now, first things first, what about the build quality? Man, this thing is hefty. Putting it in your hand at $130, it has no business being this durable and solid. I mean, it's around a pound, but like in your hand it feels really heavy. Like, I was a little bit taken aback because generally the cheaper the amp, the lighter it's going to be in most cases. One of my gripes about the JDS's Atom was that it was just a little bit too light, but the Zen DAC is just, it feels like it should be priced a lot higher as a main takeaway. Everything about this amp feels solid to the touch. All the knobs, or the analog digital control volume knob on the front, feels really
sexy.
It's sort of like, it has like a polygonal type of shape to it. It feels really nice to turn. The buttons on the front, you got the true bass and the power match, which is just a gain switch basically, all feel really good. The connections on the back feel really solid. It's just overall, it's very sleek and elegant looking, but the form factor on it is just like ridiculous. It looks sort of like an alien. Like, it reminds me of the Matrix or something. The way it's shaped is definitely unique, but it does not collect fingerprints, which is also awesome. You can just, fondle the crap out of it, and it's not going to collect anything. It's an all aluminum chassis, I believe, and I just can't say enough good things about the build quality here. Extremely impressed. Of course, it is an amp DAC rolled into one, so that's also great. So let's talk about features while we're at it. On the front, you've got the true bass and the power match, also known as gain, otherwise known as gain. You've got the ADC. As soon as you plug in the USB, it lights up, and what's cool about it is that it covers a wide array of source files. So PCM 44, 48, 88, and 96 are green. PCM 176, 192, 353, and 384, it will light up yellow for those formats. DSD, it does support DSD. You guys know how I feel about that, about DSD. DSD 64 and 128, it will light up cyan. DSD 256 will light up blue, and MQA, it's also MQA supported and will also light up magenta. On the back we have a balanced 4.4 millimeter analog output. So technically speaking, I'm not as familiar with 4.4. I think it's becoming sort of a new standard. I've heard some complaints about 2.5 millimeter in that the jack will bend over time or something. I can't really speak to that, but if you wanted to, you could run and I looked this up, you could run a 4.4 millimeter to dual XLR and hook these up to speakers, so that's pretty cool. It also has the variable and fixed switch. If it's on variable, you'll be using it outputting to studio monitors or speakers. Keep it to fixed for just general music listening on your desktop. It also comes with analog RCA outs, which can also be plugged into speakers or studio monitors. I would advise getting a RCA to dual XLR for that. It's got the USB input, of course, for your computer, which I've been using, and it's got the DC 5-volt power jack. Now, one issue that I had was that it did not come with a power brick in the box, and the USB cable that it comes with, the blue cable, which is pretty standard for iFi, is much too short. I don't know what that's all about. The black label came with a cord that was plenty long enough, but for whatever reason they included a very short cable here. Now I don't really even use it because for my setup it's not practical, but I've been using the FiO K5's USB cord because it's a lot longer and I can run it from the right over to the left, and you'll see some images or video of where it is in my studio. Yeah, I forgot to mention on the front we've also got the standard unbalanced 6.35 quarter-inch headphone jack and an unbalanced 4.4 millimeter, or a balanced 4.4 millimeter for your balanced headphones. So the unit is very, very practical. It's got a wide array of uses. It is an amp DAC combo, so that's cool. And at $130, I mean, I fully believe this is the new standard for entry-level affordability. I mean, you've got everything here rolled into one. It's very, very simple to use. A plug and play pretty much. I have drivers for this, so it was a lot easier for me to just plug it in. It worked automatically. There's no issue whatsoever though. So if you don't have the drivers installed, just go to iFi's website, install the drivers, and you should be good to go. This is one of the least finicky, temperamental amp DACs I've ever encountered. I mean, I just literally plugged it in and it was working within seconds. So I really highly applaud iFi here for making such a compact, extremely rugged, durable unit. And with this package at this price point, it's just simply unbelievable. A couple of things I would have liked to see: a better cable package. I mentioned the blue cable, but it seemed a little bit bare bones. I realized that at $130, they're not gonna include the kitchen sink, but I would have liked to see a little bit better of a cable package, considering all the things you can do with the Zen. So. How does it sound? I had to do a little bit of a comparison to get an idea, and I kind of this is iFi's house sound. Basically, it's a little bit, has a warmish chill. It's still very, very detailed, but it's very relaxing, laid back vibe. You're gonna want to just sit there and listen to music for extended periods of time. I found myself not wanting to take the headphones off. I mean, I listened to this amp with the HD600, the Creative Armada Live, as well as the Philips SHP 9500. I mean, it just sounded incredible. Makes a really great pairing with the HD600 in particular. It didn't cause the HD600s to sound as irritating in the mid-range as some more neutral offerings or pairings. For instance, I compared this side by side with the Topping NX4, and I noticed that the NX4 is a little bit crisper, a little colder sounding, more sterile, a little bit more forward, whereas with the Zen, they're a little bit pushed back, but not in a way that's annoying. So for instance, the HD600 tends to annoy me a lot of the time because of that mid-range, but paired with the Zen, it just makes a great pairing because it's a little bit, it warms up the 600s a little bit. It's not going to be like a monumental difference, but you will notice that the 600s do sound more tolerable out of this amp, and it's really great. So pair this with pretty much anything. I mean, it's got a ton of power, rated for anywhere from 12 to 300 ohms. With IEMs, you're not going to want to use the power match switch, but with a headphone like the HD600 or something similar in the 300 ohm range, you will want to press that gain switch. But there's plenty of headroom here. I wasn't ever finding myself even close to maxing out on the volume, which is a good thing. So the true bass switch is actually one of my favorite features on the Zen, because I find that with other amps, I generally don't have the bass switch on a lot of the time, because I find that it detracts from the overall experience. Whereas with the Zen here, it just enhanced the sound on nearly every track I listened to. Like, I would say in the majority of cases, I was leaving the bass switch on, which I found very surprising. I think iFi does a fantastic job with bass here. It seems like the bass switch tailors to the headphone in question, which I can't really say one way or the other. It just seemed like with each headphone, it gave just the right amount. So for the 9500, it added bass in such a way where there was a little bit more thump and rumble down low, but it wasn't like bloaty or bloomy or woolly like Tile. Like, I love that word. Thank you, Tile. Woolly. It just added a nice amount. And with the 600s especially, I think the 600s they don't take to EQ very well in the bass, and they don't do really well with a bass boost on. But here I found that it added just enough to where there was a little bit more thump, but it wasn't out of line or overbearing. So I really love the bass, the true bass switch button actually on this amp. So for my overall sound impressions, I listen to a lot of tracks in the EDM hip hop genre. I listen to a lot of indie pop. I listen to a bit of rock, and I just found myself not wanting to pair up with any other amp. And this is why, part of the reason why the Zen is just a perfect all-around investment for you. It's very practical. I mean, it just sits there on your desk, but the build quality of it is just outstanding. It looks great. I noticed that paired with the 600s, I was hearing more details, like subtlety, than I was with other setups. And I'm not sure if this is just my imagination, but I've listened to these tracks a lot lately, and it's almost like I caught some other some things that I was missing before. So in Silo Nazra, that's a really weird name. Silo Nazra, yep, that's the name of the artist. In Silo Nazra's Losing Myself, around 3:33, I noticed the background vocals were heard more clearly with the HC600. And it's something that I did not notice before, even though I've listened to the song many times over the last couple weeks. The second thing was Kevin Garrett's Little Bit of You at 2 minutes and 2 seconds. There's a hi-hat that comes in to the right and up. It just seemed more clearly heard and felt like it was making its presence known. It seemed more immediate and demanded your attention in a way that I didn't experience before. Also, the background soundscape. This is really important. The background soundscape on that song, and specifically, draws more attention to it. I didn't notice that much before. It's very subtle. It was like a soundscape that was coming from the back, but it was very smooth. Had a nice sheen to it. But it kind of jumped out at me. Whereas with other amps, maybe I didn't get that feeling. But of course, it might just be all in my head. Great amp. I cannot recommend this thing enough. I think in this price range or thereabouts, as far as desktop, it's either this or the Atom. The problem with the Atom, it's not really a problem, but the caveat concern with that amp is that it does not come with an internal DAC, which is not that big of a deal. I mean, you could always use the line out and plug it into your PC. But depending on the quality of your PC, you may not get a very good conversion. For instance, with my Lenovo X1 Extreme, I do get a really good conversion because, and trust me, I had a really crappy laptop for a long time. But you can always pair it with a separate DAC, the Atom that is. But with the Zen, everything is packaged into one. And so I really do think that they've set a standard here. I love iFi as a company. I think they make really good quality products. This amp notwithstanding. So incredible build, really. It's probably the number one thing that jumped out at me the most about this amp. Everything about it is solid. So that's about it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. Leave me some love down below and don't forget to subscribe. If you like what I do here and want to support the channel, hit that Patreon link down below. And always remember, don't feed the troll. Yeah. Check. Review brought to you by Stu. Here's the coda. I'm nasty on the mic. Call me warm soda. Chopped up this beat real fine like cold produce. Steady in my veggies so I can focus on my David Copperfield. Y'all hocus pocus. A little loopy when I wrote this. Esoteric dopeness. Cultivating the will of a soldier. Fighting through the pain like Dooku. I told ya, sold you on my style. Snapping on cats like Private Pile. I get semi-wild every once in a while. 911 on the dial. Alone at the top with no rival. Dark is my world without a Bible. Without God's love there's no survival. So my mindset is tribal. Yeah, my mindset is tribal. Yeah, my mindset is tribal.